I got some good news, bad news socks, and I have finished those snuggly cocoon things. Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and I'm here downstairs in the basement today, and this is where I like to hang out when I kind of need to be alone. It's more quiet down here, and I've got this cushy couch and a TV, and it's just perfect, so I brought you in here with me today. So what do I want to look at first? I think we want to talk about the cocoons. I've got them laid out on the pool table like a couple of mummies. They turned out pretty well. Now let me refresh your memory. This is the Big Kid Cocoon by Heidi Yates. Snappy Tots, you may be more familiar with her patterns. And I was doing my own twist to see if I could turn these into Star Wars themed cocoons for my boys. So I had done this first trying to make an R2-D2 hat, and I didn't like the way it was coming out at all. I don't like it. It's the bulky yarn. I don't like the way you could see the tops of the stitches and all. And I tried to do another one where I did it more like a hat instead of the style of this hood, the way the hood is made. You start from the back and you go around till it folds on itself, rather than, you know, a hat. You start a little bitty at the top and then you increase and all. That didn't work out. So then I thought, well, I'll just kind of sew bits on, you know, like applique. So I started making all these little bitty ones like this, and I decided this was just too much trouble and discovered that a stormtrooper would be easier. So Tyler, my oldest, got a stormtrooper, and Thomas got BB-8. So here are the finished products. We have a stormtrooper that looks more like a grumpy ghost, and we have BB-8. Now what I ended up doing was just making the pieces and sewing them on. And Thomas's BB-8 turned out pretty good. We're pleased with it. Now I know everybody has a hard time believing me when I tell you how fast this big cocoon part goes. So on a whim, I set up my phone to record half a row. Now you can see I'm not a super fast crocheter, and here and there I won't catch something right, so I'll have to fix it. Just a typical crochet session. But at this point, the cocoon is just a big tube. There are fewer stitches at the bottom because you start it like you do a hat and increase to the main tube size. So the bottom went even faster. However, when you get to the split upper body part, you know, you'll add some more stitches. So this area is sort of like the average stitch count. In a minute, we'll figure out a rough estimate of the hours it takes to put into just the main part of this cocoon. On my last video, I guessed it was about 3 evenings of TV watching, and that probably doesn't tell you much, so a rough estimate of hours may be more helpful. This video clip tells me that it was 1 minute and 58 seconds, but because I want to be forthright with you, I'm showing you with a counter in the corner, and no video speed editing, of course. I was using Maggie's as a sizing guide. I went upstairs, and when I returned, this is what I found. And a few minutes ago, I needed to change the battery in my camera. And when I returned again, this is what I found. Again. So as you can see, when I went to flip it over to begin the second half of the tube, roughly 2 minutes will have passed. So let's do some math. So we'll round it to 2 minutes for half a row. Will naturally give us 4 minutes for a whole row, right? So I counted 15 rows. And that's going to give you approximately 10 1/4 inches. So let's just get a rough estimate of how long this main body part is. So let's see, that's 1 yard or 3 feet. So it's about 3, 4, 5 feet, 6 inches-ish for just the main body part. So I'm estimating that 10 inches an hour gave me about 8 hours of work for the cocoon body. And then you'll have to do the head and the hands. These little, they're just squares that you sew on. Then you have to sew everything in. Oh, I need to cut that. So you can see it's a pretty quick project. It's no secret that as a charity knitter and crocheter, I tried never to pay full price when buying acrylic yarn from a big box store. When I first placed my order for the boys' silly cocoon things I was making for the yarn, Michael's was running a sale. Now look at these figures. $111.26 would have been the regular price, but with the sale and the shipping code I found on the home page, and an Ebates percentage back, and I only used a credit card that offers cash back, I ended up saving $41.33. Isn't that fun? Did you happen to notice the Google Doodle on Christmas Day? It was a little happy family at home, and the G in Google was knitting. They had a little animation that you could click on so you could see that taking place, and the little static picture was also, you know, knitting needles in a sock, which was really cute. I'm sure I'll be putting pictures around here somewhere for you to see. I captured it because I thought not everybody is going to see this and they'll appreciate it. So a few weeks ago, I was out at Walmart, and I forgot to put this clip in here. It was on my phone, and I just discovered it. They had sold out of a lot of these lights that they had on display, and the cardboard display, my first thought was, this thing is going to be great for yarn storage in a closet or something. You know, and I asked him too, I said, what are you going to do with this? And he said, we're just going to tear it down and put it in the recycling. And I thought, of course I didn't need it because I've already got my yarn world set up in the other room, of course. But I thought, this is something that somebody else might could really put to good use. Making my famous pound cake and my top secret fudge. Resting and relaxing. So full we just can't budge. We went to church, we got to sing, opened presents, got some bling. Okay, we're at the Nutcracker, Maggie and me, and look how pretty, look up at the ceiling. So last year we started this game, which apparently has become our new tradition for Christmas Eve afternoon activity. Last year Dad gave us $15. We went to Walmart. We had drawn names just between the 5 of us, and we had to go get a surprise with only your $15. You can't go over, and for that person. And then we came back home, we opened it up, and it was, we got the biggest charge out of it last year. It was just flat out funny, especially for the fact that Thomas got Maggie and he ended up buying her makeup. But he did okay. But this year we did the game again. All right, we'll give the money out.
No, you better have
until
change.
3 o'clock. 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can't go over. You gotta, that's the whole thing.
Okay. You can't go over $15. Now, my big kids and my husband are not fans of being in my videos, so you would never know by the small clips that I share with you that they are actually really, really funny. They both just clam up when the camera comes on. But this year, Thomas got my name, and he got me yarn. Last year, Dad got my name, and he got me yarn. So I guess we're going to have to put a moratorium on yarn next year, so I'll be surprised of whoever gets my name. It was really cute. We had a great time and really some fun. It's funny what you can find for only $15. I thought we were going to make it a bigger challenge and bring it down to $10. What is our Christmas Eve tradition, happy children in the back? Sort of new.
We're going to shop for presents with $15.
thought it was 10.
No, we had 15 last year.
I know, but didn't we change it to 10?
No, I thought
15 was already pretty hard.
They all outvoted me. Like most families, when the kids were little, they'd fight over who had to sit on the hump in the middle of the back seat. They decided it would be the smallest, so it had to be Thomas. Well, he's outgrown them all, and so now it has to be poor Maggie. So it's Christmas Eve. What are we going to do?
I don't like being in the middle.
Last week I described a technique to make bulky yarn from one skein of worsted weight, and in the description box I gave you a link to the tutorial that introduced me to it. Then Londi taught me that this technique actually has a name, the Navajo technique. Thanks, Londi. One of my hat patterns that continues to get lots of attention is the super bulky scrap hat. I have a tutorial for it which I'll put in the description box below, but here's a trendy twist to it. Linda Ann Stork wrote on my blog, "Margaret, I've been selling these hats at work as fast as I can make them. One woman came to me and asked if I could make her a messy bun hat that has a hole in the top for a bun or ponytail, but it has to be stretchy. I used this pattern, except I started with a 2-inch in diameter covered ponytail loop. I crocheted 12 single crochets around the loop and followed the rest of the pattern. She loved it, and now everyone wants one. Please feel free to share this with your audience." I love it when people take my ideas and use their own imagination to make it even better. Another comment from my blog came from Ellie Wilson. Addi Machine users are going to know about that static electricity problem that causes the counters to mess up. And Ellie's passing on a tip that she heard. It involves wrapping plastic wrap around the counter to avoid static buildup. Now I'm very curious about this since plastic wrap is a huge conductor of electricity. But there could certainly be a scientific reason that this totally works. I'm going to give it a try next time I pull out the Addi, and if you try it, let me know how it works for you. A while back, I bought some of this Loops and Threads Facets yarn, and if you don't know, Loops and Threads is a Michael's store brand. It's really pretty with lots of color combos to choose from. But Ashley, Ash Love Nerd, who works at Michael's, shared with me that she was hearing poor reviews of this yarn from customers. Now, I still haven't used it yet, but Sarah recently shared her experience with me. Sarah is Crunchiest One on Ravelry, and she happens to run our Sheepishly Sharing Ravelry group over there. She said, "I enjoyed working with the facet yarn, Loops and Threads. It's soft and works up easily. My only concern, when pulling from the center of the skein, the yarn winds on itself, and I had to keep pulling it straight to work with." So that's a pretty good review. That's kind of minor. Now here's what she worked on. It's called the Tabitha scarf, and you can find it on Ravelry, and I thought it made up really pretty. So thanks, Sarah, for sharing your review. Of course, we all have different styles and techniques, and so our experiences are going to be different, but I really like hearing everybody's opinion and their experience on the yarn. So when I get around to trying it, I will share mine too. If you're looking for a charity that's close to home so you don't have to pay for shipping, PJH gives us a great idea. She says, "Hi Margaret, another wonderful place to give, and it's close to home. County agencies. In September, I called a couple of the local counties near me and spoke with their departments that worked with the homebound low-income seniors. They were floored that there were people who wanted to donate handcrafted items to the elderly. Get this, the forgotten people. Isn't that heartbreaking?" As one county nurse said. One large county had almost 300 homebound seniors who received nothing in the way of gifts for the holidays because of budget cuts. After I checked with what was needed, 5 of us knitted and crocheted lap blankets, shawls, and slippers like crazy. We only put a small dent in what was needed this coming year, but we plan to get busy starting in January. I encourage anyone looking for a worthy cause to check with their own local county. Excellent idea. Thanks, PJH. Look what Erin got me. It's a nutcracker. I love nutcrackers. It's a nutcracker with a Christmas sweater that knits, that has little balls of yarn at her feet. Isn't that adorable? She's going to have to stay out all year. Erin and Kristen's Christmas package had an ugly Christmas sweater theme this year, and they sent other stuff like these wonderful tasty teas of every description and flavor. The Skittles even had a sweater theming on the package. They didn't make it into the picture for some reason, but isn't that precious? Okay, the good news, bad news socks. The good news is I finished them. They are slightly different, even though the lot number was the same. Juanita pointed out that sometimes the labels get changed, and you know what? I have seen something similar to that when I've been in the store. But this is the Peyton's sock yarn Croy. Peyton's Croy is what it's called. It was in the colorway Clover. And yes, my lot numbers did match. So they are off a little bit, but that's not the bad news. The bad news is they're huge. They don't really fit me. They fit well enough that, you know, I could put them in boots and stuff like that. But that still brings me to a new problem. Why? You know, I knit those other ones and they fit pretty well. I did do the other ones in 2x2 ribbing. So that would, of course, attribute to the ankle. But in this case, even the heel was too long. Followed the same pattern, did everything the same as far as I can tell. So not sure what happened. But some good news is I did a really good job on the Kitchener stitch. Can you see the toe is better? Is that the one? One of the beginning of each Kitchener stitch is not good. It has like a little hole or whatever right here. Not a hole, a bulky thing right here. But that's just because I didn't pull it tightly enough because I didn't know what I was doing. But anyway, I finished them and I did enjoy knitting socks. I did them 2 at a time. I found that I do like that. Learn something new. But I really need to figure out this sock problem and figure out why those came out so much larger than the other ones. I mean, like even in the foot. I need to check my gauge. I wonder what the content is on this, if that makes a difference. No, so 75% wool and 25% nylon. I don't think that was that much difference. And, you know, like I'm thinking that it would not have as much stretch maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll try to figure that out at some point. The big thing that really worried me about being a sock knitter was I was afraid that I would be prone to second sock syndrome. So I did a little research and I figured out how to knit 2 at a time on circular needles, and I did do it from the top down. There are other tutorials I've seen out there for toe up socks, and that would be great for avoiding that Kitchener stitch altogether. But part of me really wanted to beat that Kitchener stitch, you know. It's just a personal thing between me and the Kitchener stitch. So I had to do it. Plus, I think Erin is a great sock knitter, and that's the way she taught me to do it. So before I can move on to do anything else, I want to master what it was she was trying to get me to do. Yeah, sometimes I could be kind of hard-headed. Jen, you know, gave me this book, Crafty Jen on Instagram, gave me this book about sock knitting, and I have had my nose in it. It tells you a lot about sizing and everything, but yet I really didn't change anything. I mean, I cast on 64, which is the same thing I did with the other socks, and I did not do the ribbing, which of course would definitely affect the hug, but I just feel like this is, but not the heel. You know, the heel itself was the same length, so I don't know. You know what? I think I just need more practice. More practice would help me to determine differences, and maybe I could come up with a solution myself. But if anybody else has any ideas, just, you know, throw them out there. I'm quite partial to this book that Jen sent me because, well, lots of reasons. It's got lots of information in here, but it also has some different stitch repeats that you could try. You know, just to make your sock look a little bit different. But there's endless possibilities when you can just consider, you know, doing a rib pattern or something like that. And here, this book has several that interest me. 6 stitch repeats and 8 stitch repeats and some cabling and whatever. So yeah, here's some cabling patterns. So so Jen, thank you again for this book. Obviously I haven't put it away as I keep pulling it out. Oh, here's some more. Here's some lace repeats in there. So yeah, this is a great book. What's it called? Getting Started Knitting Socks by Ann Budd. That's a good one. And Jen knew it's just what I needed. And look what I just found. Do you ever do craftsy classes? I do, and I like them a lot. But they have on sale for $14.99 a sock knitting class with Ann Budd, the author of that book that I like so much. So I think I will sign up for this class. No, well, my big camera just died on me. I obviously do not have charged batteries. I really thought that second one that I put in there was charged. Live and learn. So anyway, I'm going to sign off right now, and I'll see you next week. Bye.